All right, so get ready because today we are taking a deep dive into AI. And it really does seem like every single day there's some new crazy breakthrough.
It does. It really does feel like drinking from a fire hose.
Totally. I feel that way too. And we are looking at, well, a ton of stuff today. Articles, blogs, news pieces from sources like Towards AI, Unite AI,
Analytics India magazine.
Chat Economy. So we're kind of getting a broad view of what's happening.
Yeah, a really good overview of the whole space.
Yeah. And we're talking, agents, AI-generated videos, AI solving real-world problems. Like, we're not just talking about the what, but the why. Like, why does this matter for you?
Absolutely, and some predictions about the future of work, which I think are going to be really interesting.
Yeah, definitely some eyebrow-raising stuff. Well, let's kick things off with, everybody's talking about OpenAI, and their latest release, they've got this Responses API and Agents SDK,
Right.
which basically, it's like a toolkit, right, for building these AI agents much simpler.
It is, yeah, and it's simpler because they've combined the ease of chat completions with the more advanced features of the Assistance API.
Okay, so, for those listening who, are trying to keep up with all these different APIs coming out, what does that mean for developers, basically?
So it means that now, with one call, developers can build an agent that can search the web,
Yeah.
look through files, and even kind of mimic using a computer.
Okay, so, hold on. Agents can use a mouse and keyboard now. That sounds like, I don't know, is this a Black Mirror episode? What's happening?
I know, it's wild, right? It sounds like sci-fi, but it's really happening.
Mm-hmm.
And the possibilities are just huge.
Well, let's make this practical. So for me, for example, I could say to my AI agent, book me a flight. And it could go to the United website or whatever, fill out the forms, pick my seat, put in my credit card information, all that stuff.
Yeah, all without you even having to open your laptop. And that's exactly where things are headed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still important to have that human oversight, but the benchmarks are already showing incredible results.
Huh. Wow. So OpenAI is busy with agents, but DeepMind is making some serious waves with image generation. They've got this Gemini Flash 2.0.
Right.
And, we were all talking about how GPT-4 was maybe going to be able to generate images directly, and then Gemini was like, hold my beer.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Like a constant one-upmanship in the AI space, which is super cool to watch. And what makes Gemini Flash 2.0 so special is that it generates images natively.
Yeah.
So the images are much more consistent and coherent with what you type in.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't super technical, what does natively mean in this context? Help us understand.
It basically means it's built into the model itself, so it's not this awkward add-on like some other image generation tools.
Got it. So it's all integrated, which makes it way smoother.
Exactly, and that opens up so many cool possibilities for storytelling, for branding, for creating really complex visuals.
It's like having a, AI artist on demand.
Totally, and DeepMind didn't stop there. They've even gone and integrated Flash 2.0's reasoning capabilities into their deep research agent. So it's becoming even more powerful and versatile.
Wow, it's getting scary smart. Okay, so let's talk about something that's been causing a lot of buzz, which is AI writing code. We've got some pretty bold predictions out there, with Anthropic's CEO, Dario Amodei, saying that AI will be writing 90% of code within months.
Yeah, 90%. It's a huge number.
It is. And then we've got OpenAI CPO also seems pretty confident about this whole coding automation future. So is this the beginning of the end for programmers? Should we all be panicking right now?
Well, I think it's important to take these predictions, with a grain of salt. I mean, the progress is undeniable, but I'm a little skeptical. Scaling reinforcement learning to handle the complexities of real-world coding projects with multiple files, that's a really big hurdle.
Right. It's not just about feeding an AI some code and it magically spits out an app.
No, exactly. I mean, it's not quite that simple. It's a way more nuanced process.
So AI can definitely help with specific coding tasks, but it's not going to replace human programmers.
At least not anytime soon.
Okay, well, that's reassuring. But it does make you think, right, about how the role of programmers is going to change. Maybe it becomes more about this higher level design thinking, problem solving, while the AI does all the grunt work.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think those are the kinds of questions we need to be asking ourselves.
Definitely food for thought.
Mm.
Okay, let's shift gears now and talk about a trend that I'm finding super interesting, which is these smaller, more powerful reasoning models. We're so used to thinking bigger is better in AI,
Right.
but we've got Alibaba with this QWQ32B model that's really challenging that idea.
Absolutely. It's fascinating how it excels at these reasoning tasks, even though it has fewer parameters than these giant models like GPT.
Okay, so how is that even possible? Like, break that down for us a little bit.
Well, it's about optimization, really.
Mm.
Alibaba focused on maximizing performance with fewer resources,
Hmm.
using techniques like reinforcement learning. And that's a potential game changer because it really democratizes access to powerful AI.
So why is that such a big deal? I mean, break it down for someone who's not in the tech world. Why should they care about this?
Well, think about it. Smaller companies, individuals, they could leverage powerful AI without needing access to these massive data centers, massive computing power.
Right.
It's the difference between needing a supercomputer and being able to run these sophisticated models on your laptop.
Okay, that makes total sense. It opens up the playing field.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of possibilities, I was reading this really interesting blog post from a machine learning engineer who created an entire agent system just for fine-tuning AI models.
Oh, yeah, that's a crucial part of the development process.
It is, and it's amazing how AI is now changing not just the models themselves, but the entire process of building and refining them.
Right. I mean, it's like AI inception.
Yeah,
AI
exactly.
building better AI. It's crazy.
So this engineer, they used GPT-4o Mini to analyze data sets, figure out the best way to fine-tune a model. They created specific skills for different tasks
Wow.
with sophisticated tracing and evaluation. And get this, they even use their agent to analyze and potentially improve its own fine-tuning process.
Whoa, that's wild.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. I mean, it highlights AI's potential as this force multiplier,
True.
streamlining really complex processes, making things more efficient, which ultimately leads to better AI models.
So it's not just about the end result, but it's also about how we get there.
Exactly, and AI is really changing the game on both fronts.
Okay, so let's take a step outside of, all the code and algorithms and look at how AI is actually solving real-world problems. I mean, did you know that the New York MTA is now using AI to analyze sound and vibration data from subway cars?
Yeah, I read about that. I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Right? It's using AI to detect track issues before they even become major problems, which
Yeah.
is huge for safety. It's huge for efficiency.
And for those of us who ride the subway, maybe fewer delays.
Exactly. Fewer headaches all around.
So AI is literally listening to the subway tracks to make sure everything is running smoothly.
In a way, yeah. It's pretty amazing.
It is, and it doesn't stop there. I mean, there are companies now developing AI-powered robots to locate and safely dispose of unexploded WWII munitions in the ocean.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
It's incredible how they're using AI for these really complex, really important real-world problems.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a direct impact.
It's not just theory anymore.
Right.
This is AI in action making a real difference.
Yeah. Okay, but of course, with all this power comes, responsibility, right? Let's talk about some of the ethical considerations, especially in education.
Sure.
I was reading an article from Unite.ai, and they were talking about this kind of double-edged sword of generative AI in the classroom.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because on the one hand, AI has this incredible potential to personalize education. Imagine AI tutors that adapt to each student's learning style and pace. That's amazing.
But then there's the flip side, right? The potential for cheating, plagiarism. How do you ensure academic integrity when AI can just generate answers?
Exactly. It's a huge challenge, and it's forcing us to rethink how we assess learning.
It's almost like, AI is making us reevaluate what we even value in education.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What does it mean to learn in a world where information is so readily available? It's a really deep question.
It is. It is. Okay, so Adobe seems to be embracing the potential of AI in a big way. They just released 10 specialized AI agents just for customer experience.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
It is. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's really interesting because it signals this broader trend of companies using AI not just for internal processes, but to actually improve how they interact with customers.
Okay, so what does that look like in practice?
I mean, imagine walking into a store
Mhm.
and the salesperson already knows your preferences, knows your purchase history.
They're like, hey, welcome back. I know you love these shoes.
Exactly. And it goes beyond brick and mortar, right? Think about AI chatbots that can give you instant customer service, resolve issues super quickly.
Yeah.
No more waiting on hold, getting frustrated with automated phone menus.
No more rage against the machines.
Exactly. And these agents are only going to get smarter. They'll be able to anticipate customer needs before they even arise.
It's almost like having a personal concierge.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of personalized experience, it makes customers happy, but it also drives business growth.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, well, speaking of making a splash, Elon Musk's XAI is diving headfirst into this AI video generation race. They just acquired Hotshot, this startup specializing in AI-powered video tools.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear about that. It's getting really competitive.
It is. So this puts XAI directly up against OpenAI's Sora and Google's VO2.
It's a big move.
Yeah.
XAI clearly sees the potential of AI-generated video. I mean, think about the applications for entertainment advertising.
Yeah, I mean, it's a potentially huge market.
Yeah. It is. And it seems like every tech giant wants a piece of the pie.
Makes sense. Well, this competition, it's going to be interesting to see where it leads.
It is. I think we're going to see some rapid innovation.
Definitely. Okay, and one last thing before we wrap up part one. Let's talk about Anthropic's plans to give their AI assistant, Claude, a voice.
Oh, interesting. It seems like voice interaction is the next frontier
Right.
for AI assistants.
Makes sense. I mean, it's the most natural way for us to communicate, right?
Exactly. And imagine being able to interact with your AI assistant just like you would with a colleague.
Like, hey, Claude, can you summarize that meeting for me?
Exactly. Or draft an email to so-and-so, or help me brainstorm ideas for this project. It really changes how we work.
That sounds incredibly futuristic, but also incredibly convenient.
It does. It's still early days,
Yeah.
but the potential is definitely there.
Yeah, it's exciting. Okay, now for a little reality check before we move on to part two, I was looking at this report from McKinsey, and they're basically saying that while AI adoption is increasing super rapidly, a lot of organizations are struggling to actually implement it effectively.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to have the technology, but it's another thing to actually integrate it into your organization, manage the risks.
Right, it's a whole new way of thinking, a whole new way of working.
Exactly. You need to adapt your structure, your culture, even your talent management strategies. It's a holistic transformation.
So it's not enough to just buy the latest AI tools. You need to change your whole organization to really leverage them.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. And what about the impact on the workforce?
The report really emphasizes the importance of reskilling.
Yeah.
As AI automates certain tasks, people need to adapt, develop new skills to stay relevant.
So, like, what are some practical steps people can take? How can we stay ahead of the curve? That's something we'll delve into in part two. But for now, we're going to take a quick break,
Sounds
then
good.
come back to explore even more fascinating facets of the AI landscape.
Looking forward to it. It's funny. Some people think that AI is going to steal all the jobs, but I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, it reminds me of when everyone was freaking out about the internet.
Exactly.
Like, oh, the internet's going to kill all the jobs.
Right. But instead, it created all these new industries, new roles that we couldn't have even imagined back then.
I mean, think about it. Social media managers, YouTubers, app developers, like none of those existed before the internet.
Yeah. And AI is kind of the same way. We're in uncharted territory, so
Yeah.
it's impossible to say for sure what's going to happen.
Right, but it's definitely going to be a huge shift.
It is, and adapting is going to be crucial.
Okay, so how do we even start adapting? Where do we begin?
Well, I think a good first step is understanding the basics of AI and machine learning.
Yeah.
And don't be intimidated by all their jargon. There
Yeah.
are tons of resources out there that break it down in a way that anyone can understand.
Yeah, there are some great introductory courses, articles, videos, like you don't need a PhD to get started.
Exactly. It's like learning a new language. Once
Yeah.
you have the basic vocabulary, you can start to understand the conversations and even contribute.
Makes sense. And once you have those basics down, don't be afraid to experiment, right? There are tons of free AI tools out there.
Yeah, just play around with them, build something simple, see what you can create.
Exactly. Okay, so speaking of creating, let's talk more about AI video generation because we touched on XAI's acquisition of Hotshot earlier,
Right.
but I think it's worth diving a little deeper because this technology is evolving so rapidly.
It really is. I mean, the potential is just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Imagine creating realistic animations, stunning special effects, even entire movies with just a few lines of text.
It's like having a Hollywood studio in your pocket.
It is. And the impact goes way beyond entertainment. Think about education, training, personalized marketing messages tailored to each viewer.
Yeah, it could completely transform how we consume and create video content.
And we're already seeing companies like Runway and Synthesia pushing the boundaries with their platforms. The tools are becoming more powerful and user-friendly, so anyone can create amazing videos, even without a technical background.
Yeah, it's really democratizing the creative process.
It is, and that's super exciting.
But of course, there are concerns, right? Like, what about the potential for misuse, deepfakes, misinformation, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. That's a valid concern, and it's something we need to address proactively. As
Yeah.
the technology gets more sophisticated, we need to develop better ways to detect and combat these malicious applications.
It's like we're in an arms race almost.
In a way, yeah. But it's also an opportunity to establish ethical guidelines and frameworks for responsible use to make sure that AI video generation is used for good.
It's all about striking that balance, right?
It is. Innovation and responsibility go hand in hand.
Okay, I want to shift gears now and talk about something that's super relevant to businesses, which is customer experience.
Okay.
Adobe releasing those 10 specialized AI agents for customer interactions, that was a big deal.
It was, and I think it's a sign of things to come.
Yeah. I mean, these agents can analyze tons of customer data, right? Purchase history, browsing behavior, all of that.
Exactly. They can create these hyper-personalized experiences.
So imagine you walk into a store and the salesperson knows exactly what you like, what you've bought in the past.
Yeah, and they can make recommendations tailored to your specific needs and preferences.
No more generic sales pitches.
Exactly. And it's not just in person, right? AI-powered chatbots can provide instant support online, resolve issues quickly and efficiently.
No more waiting on hold for hours.
Yeah, it's all about making things easier and more enjoyable for the customer.
Yeah. And as these AI agents get even smarter, they'll be able to anticipate customer needs before they even arise.
Right, it's like having a personal assistant dedicated to making sure you have the best possible experience.
That's the dream. Okay, before we move on, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier, which is this whole quest for AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Right, the holy grail of AI research.
The idea of a machine that can think and learn like a human, that can solve any intellectual task. It's like something out of science fiction.
It is, and there's a lot of debate about whether it's even possible.
Yeah, some experts think it's right around the corner. Others think it's centuries away, if not impossible.
It's hard to say for sure. I mean, we've made incredible progress in recent years, but there are still some fundamental challenges, especially when it comes to replicating human consciousness and common sense reasoning.
Yeah, like how do you teach a machine to understand humor, sarcasm, emotions? Those are things that even humans struggle with sometimes.
Exactly, it's incredibly complex.
But even if we never achieve true AGI, the journey itself is pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI.
Right. It's leading to all these amazing breakthroughs that are benefiting humanity in countless ways.
It's like even if we don't reach the final destination, the path itself is filled with valuable discoveries.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe someday we'll look back and realize that this was just the beginning of something truly extraordinary.
Well, that's a thought-provoking idea. But for now, let's bring things back down to earth and explore some of the practical applications of AI that are already transforming industries today. Welcome back to the show. All right, so let's dive into how AI is actually impacting different industries. We've talked about transportation, customer service, but healthcare's huge.
It is, yeah. And one of the most exciting areas is medical imaging. AI is helping doctors detect diseases much earlier and more accurately.
Okay, so how does that work? Like, what's the AI actually doing?
Well, these algorithms can analyze X-rays, MRIs, even microscopic images of tissue samples. They can spot these tiny patterns that might be missed by the human eye.
So it's like an AI-powered second opinion, basically.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's augmenting the expertise of doctors, helping them make better decisions.
And it's not just about diagnosis, right?
No, not at all. AI is being used to personalize treatment plans, like tailoring therapies to individual patients based on their genes, lifestyle, all sorts of factors.
So it's like a custom-designed healthcare plan.
Pretty much, it's leading to more effective treatments with fewer side effects, which is incredible.
But I imagine some people might be a little uneasy about, AI making life or death decisions.
I understand that. But it's important to remember that these systems are designed to assist doctors, not replace them.
Right, so the doctor is always in control, ultimately.
Always. The AI provides information, insights, but the final decision is always made by a human.
That makes sense. Okay, so let's move on to an industry that's been a little slower to adopt AI finance.
Yeah, but it's starting to catch up. We're seeing AI being used to detect fraud, assess risk, even provide personalized financial advice.
So, like, your bank could alert you to a suspicious transaction before you even know it's happening?
Exactly. Or you could get investment recommendations based on your risk tolerance, your financial goals.
It's like having a personal financial advisor in your pocket.
Yeah, and it all comes down to AI's ability to process huge amounts of data, identify patterns, and make predictions.
It's giving financial institutions a whole new level of insight and efficiency.
And for consumers, it means more personalized, more secure financial services.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something that we've talked about throughout this entire deep dive: education and reskilling.
Right, that's key.
Because with all these AI advancements, it's clear that the job market is changing, right?
It is. We need people who can not only use AI tools, but also understand how they work, what their limitations are, how to use them ethically.
So it's not just about being a passive user, it's about being an informed and responsible AI citizen.
Exactly. And that means a shift in education.
Hmm.
We need to integrate AI concepts into curriculums from a young age.
Right, so it's not just for tech specialists, it's for everyone.
It is. We need to prepare the next generation for a world where AI is everywhere.
And what about those of us who are already in the workforce? Like, how do we keep up with all these changes?
Lifelong learning is essential. There are so many resources out there: online courses, boot camps, workshops, even free stuff on YouTube and podcasts.
Yeah, it's about being proactive, taking ownership of your own professional development.
That's the key. Be curious, explore new areas, and don't be afraid to learn new things.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of AI.
Time flies when you're talking about AI.
It really does. It's been an amazing journey exploring all the latest advancements, the potential benefits, and the challenges ahead.
AI is a powerful force, and it's up to all of us to use it responsibly and ethically to build a future where AI benefits everyone.
That's a great note to end on. The future of AI is in our hands, so let's make it a good one. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring.